Let's be real, school was never perfect. But for Gen Z, the system is basically running on outdated software while pretending it's preparing us for the future. You've got schools still acting like it's 1985, desks in rows, 8-hour days, standardized tests, no mental health support, and teachers stretched so thin they don't even remember why they started. Meanwhile, kids have anxiety, depression, burnout, identity issues, family stress, social media pressure, and the constant thought that something could go wrong any day. And instead of fixing the system, adults just keep telling Gen Z we're lazy, entitled, or always on our phones. Nah. We're just growing up in a world they don't understand, and if you really think it's all in our heads, look at the statistics. Look at the drop in test scores, the rise in dropout rates, the mental health crisis, and how schools are still acting surprised every time a kid breaks down. Or worse. There's a reason so many students are disengaged. There's a reason so many people feel unsafe in a place that's supposed to protect them. We'll talk about school shootings later, not in a graphic way, but in a realistic one, because pretending it's not part of the conversation is exactly how things got this bad. But let's start here. Schools were designed for factory workers. Literally. That's why the bell rings like a shift change. That's why everyone sits in rows. That's why creativity, financial literacy, and emotional intelligence get ignored, because the system wasn't built for humans, it was built for control. Gen Z is growing up with AI jobs, digital entrepreneurship, online learning, access to every piece of information in the world, and schools are still handing out worksheets and acting like missing one assignment ruins your future. They keep saying, pay attention, but don't notice half the students are dissociating just to survive the day. You know what's wild? Kids are learning more on TikTok in 60 seconds than in a 60-minute lecture. Not because teachers are the problem, but because the system doesn't let them change anything, and when stressed out students shut down, it's labeled as behavior. When someone can't focus, it's defiance. When someone's depressed, it gets ignored until it's too late. But yeah, let's give them another test and pretend everything's fine. Let's talk about the biggest red flag in the whole system, mental health. Kids are anxious, depressed, exhausted, and overstimulated, not because they're soft, but because they're carrying way more than previous generations ever had to at their age. But what does school do? Hand out detention slips. Zero tolerance policies. Suspensions. Grades. Punishments. Bell schedules. Dress codes. Hall passes. Everything except real support. Most schools have one counselor for like 400 or 500 students, and half the time that counselor is busy doing schedule changes or test paperwork instead of actually helping anyone. Here's the truth. Gen Z isn't more emotional, we're just less silent about what everyone else tried to hide. And instead of appreciating that, the system acts like we're the problem. Kids are scared to open up because schools punish symptoms instead of fixing causes. You skip class because you're depressed. Truancy charge. You lash out because of trauma. Behavior referral. You can't focus because you haven't slept. They call your parents instead of asking if you're okay. And then everyone's shocked when someone breaks. Meanwhile, teachers are struggling too: burnout, low pay, disrespect, pressure from parents, pressure from admin. Some want to help, but the system strangles them. Mental health is treated like an afterthought, until it turns into a headline that you've got students trying to get straight A's, build resumes, join clubs, do sports, get jobs, help their families, keep up online, and somehow maintain friendships and sleep. All before they're even 18. School acts like if you don't have your whole future planned by sophomore year, you're already behind. AP classes, SATs, college apps, tuition, debt, scholarships, it's like they want kids to sprint through life before they even figure out who they are. And for what? To get a degree you might not even use. To land a job that AI might take. To flex on Instagram that you made it. The wildest part. Schools almost never teach real-life skills. No taxes. No credit. No self-defense. No business. No mental health coping. No emotional intelligence. No financial freedom. But hey, at least you know how to label a cell diagram and take a standardized test. Gen Z isn't failing school. School is failing Gen Z. Let's get into something people pretend not to see. School doesn't actually feel safe for a lot of students, and not just physically. Emotionally, mentally, socially, the environment is stressful by default. You've got bullying happening in the hallways, in group chats, on Snapchat, in Discord servers, on TikTok, and half the time, the school only reacts if it turns into a fight or a viral post. You've got metal detectors in some schools and zero security in others, no consistency, no real prevention, just vibes and prayers. Teachers are expected to manage 25 to 35 students at a time, catch every red flag, maintain order, handle mental breakdowns, spot bullying, teach a full curriculum, control phones, and follow the script admin gave them. It's impossible. Most students don't feel like they can talk to an adult on campus without judgment or consequences. So problems just stay under the surface until they explode. And here's the part nobody likes to talk about but everyone feels. There's always that quiet fear in the back of people's minds, like, what if something goes down today? Not because it's happening every day at every school, but because Gen Z grew up seeing it on the news, online, and in drills. It's in our heads before we even understand it. That kind of tension builds you. We're not diving into details or trauma, but ignoring the topic like it doesn't exist is part of the problem. Gen Z is the first generation that grew up practicing lockdown drills like fire drills. We've seen videos, posts, news stories, debates, hashtags, politics, all while sitting at desks trying to focus on homework. Some students walk into school scanning the exits without even realizing it. Some joke about it because humor is the only coping mechanism they have. Some pretend it'll never happen to them just to function, but here's the messed up part. The system still acts like it's just bad luck instead of a symptom of a bigger issue. Mental health ignored. Warning signs dismissed. Safety turned into paperwork. Voices silenced. And the people actually living it? Treated like statistics. We're not here to exploit the pain or replay tragedies. We're here to say the fear exists, and pretending it doesn't is why nothing changes. Alright, that section keeps it respectful and real without crossing the line. One thing people outside the system don't get is how divided it really is. It's not just students versus teachers. It's teachers versus admin, admin versus parents, parents versus the board, and students stuck in the middle of all that chaos. Most teachers aren't the enemy, they're exhausted. They're underpaid, overworked, and micromanaged. A lot of them want to help, but the system won't let them. They have to follow rules made by people who haven't been in a classroom in 20 years. Then you've got admin, principals, district staff, board members. Some care, some don't. But most of them are more worried about test scores, budgets, lawsuits, politics, and their reputation than the actual students sitting in the desks, and the students. We're treated like data. Attendance numbers. GPA numbers. Disciplinary records. State scores. Grad rates. It's like we're products being shipped out instead of humans trying to figure life out. Parents jump in when something goes wrong, but half of them don't even know what their kids go through every day. Some blame the school. Some blame the teachers. Some blame their own kids. But barely anyone blames the system. Teachers are quitting. Subs are unqualified. Admin is out of touch. Students feel unheard. And yet they wonder why everything keeps falling apart. Here's another thing schools don't understand: phones aren't just entertainment for Gen Z, they're communication, safety, expression, education, work, income, and identity. Schools try to ban phones like it's a distraction, but students are literally Googling what the teacher just explained because they didn't get it the first time. Some kids do their homework on their phone because they don't even have a laptop at home. Some make side money online to help their families. Some just need music to cope. But instead of learning to work with technology, schools fight it. They take phones, lock them up, ban earbuds, block websites, restrict access, and then wonder why students check out. Meanwhile, real life is digital. Online jobs. AI. Remote work. E-commerce. Social branding. Digital portfolios. Content creation. Financial apps. Everything. Schools are teaching like the world doesn't run on Wi-Fi, and when students show they're smart in new ways, editing, designing, researching, coding, content creation, schools don't even count it as intelligence. They only care if you pass a test the same